We're talking about one of those key sectors of the economy that was highlighted, and that's the ICT sector. I've got with me here in the studios the Regional Operations Director of Airtel Nigeria, Mr. Wale Abu. He's going to be talking about what Airtel is doing with regards ensuring being competitive in the aspect of boosting the nation's economy. Good morning to you, Mr. Abu, and thank you for coming in.
Thank you. Good morning.
Well, it's been an interesting conversation ongoing here, but what has really stood out for you with regards to the summit?
Okay, quite a number of things have come out here, and the first is the need for restructuring or reformation of policies, harmonization of policies, having a good policy framework and a focus that will drive ICT. It seems that a lot is happening in different pockets, across different layers of government, across different MDAs, and therefore the need for coordination, for tighter coordination, has been identified even by the VP yesterday, and from the focus group discussions. That has come out very strongly. I would like to address the broad framework of broadband penetration that it came out also clearly, and I think Obama mentioned, the President of the United States, that the most important strategic initiative for any country now is broadband expansion and penetration. And if we want to piggyback the former Prime Minister of Georgia shared about the case study of how they took Georgia to where they are today over 10 years, we see that what they did was they did some smart regulation, and that's also something that's needed here in terms of the regulatory framework, because Airtel is a business and every entity needs to be assured that they will survive, which is the sustainability we're talking about. So first and foremost, smart regulation is required, and protection of the investments made in this sector is also key to give confidence to the players in the sector now and to attract new ones. As we speak now, we still have a long way to go in terms of that comfort. I'll give you an example in terms of power. Airtel easily, if you pull all the generators together, easily has 200 megawatts of power that we generate every day to support operations. That is 5% of your national capacity. Imagine if you were a businessman and you took out all that money. That's another separate investment. One of the things that's coming out quite clearly is that power needs to be fixed. If broadband is going to drive the innovation era, which is where we are now, and we want to be competitive, power drove the industrial revolution, broadband is going to drive the next revolution, but we are still struggling with power. So that has come out, that needs to be fixed as from the regulatory perspective. The second is also security. We know these things, but the impact is that if for some reason you take out coverage from anywhere due to security, due to site lockout, due to any of the things that lead to loss of coverage, you take out the capacity for people in that area to access the internet, and it could be for a critical thing. As we speak now, telecoms has evolved from basic voice and data to telemedia. You're doing e-medicine. There are hospitals where they need the internet to collaborate with external surgeons in terms of delivering healthcare. There are healthcare initiatives right now that need ICT, that need broadband, that need support, they need internet, education, e-governance, to mention a few.
Okay, so now, Mr. Abu, let me just cut you here. You've clearly highlighted the challenges and the issues that Airtel, for instance, faces with regards carrying out its business. But when you're doing a business, you do not, come into a business without possibility of some risk coming up. Now, you've talked about the issue of security. You've also mentioned the issue of infrastructure, which is power. Now, these must clearly have been factored into your business plan before you go ahead. And looking at the very critical role that telecoms plays, in this case now Airtel plays, in ensuring national competitiveness, do you feel that you've not really addressed the issues in terms of looking at the fact that these risks are already in place, but then you have a service to customers?
Well, thank you. Let me restate. We already have power. We generate our own power. So we recognize that gap. What we're talking about in terms of sustainability is that in a global village, if you do not sort power out and another country sorts out power, for instance, your neighbor, you will see investments going in there because this is incremental cost of doing business. So we're doing business in Nigeria at a higher cost. That's the point I'm making.
And which is now also being, like, to the customers.
Definitely. So if you're looking at that, the impact is not just in cost, it's in access. The lowest part of the pyramid, the people who need the internet the most, will get it later because you have to, where I could have put in 10 base stations, I can only put in 5. I have to raise the money. You understand? So the speed at which we need to move will be delayed because you just can't take some physical access is not even there. Okay? So you have to create the access. So it's a bit tougher. It's not as if it's not being done operating in Nigeria, it's facing that, but we're just highlighting it that from a country competitiveness perspective, that has to be sorted. And so we deal with it. And so I'm just giving you that example to say that we're also a small power company, which we don't need to be. The second thing about security, these are common goods. Of course we have, but we're talking about the larger environment. There are things that you can't do. And that is where we're talking about the issue of structural reforms at the government layer. Internally, in terms of what we are doing, of course we have a very robust plan. As we speak already, Airtel, I'm sure you already know that we're a global player. We're the 3rd largest telco in the world. So we have the resources. We're also one of the largest in Nigeria now. We have 30 million subscribers. We have presence in every state and in every key community. But we're talking about now improving on the data side.